It began as a routine archival review inside Kensington Palace, or so the public was meant to believe. But within hours, whispers spread through royal corridors that Prince William had made a decision so unprecedented it sent shockwaves through every branch of the family. When Catherine emerged from a private meeting, carrying a sealed collection of documents once linked to Princess Diana, even veteran courtiers knew something extraordinary had happened, and someone inside the palace was already furious. Before we go deeper into what this really means for the royal family, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single update. At first, the gathering attracted little attention. Senior royal archivists were seen moving quietly between offices. Schedules were suddenly adjusted, and several members of palace staff reportedly received unusual instructions regarding confidentiality. On the surface, everything appeared ordinary. Royal records are reviewed all the time, and historical collections often require maintenance. Yet this meeting felt different from the very beginning. The atmosphere surrounding it was unusually tense, and those closest to the discussions seemed determined to ensure that no details escaped beyond the palace walls. According to insiders, the conversation centered on one of the most emotionally significant collections in royal history, the personal archive of Diana, Princess of Wales. For years, the collection had remained protected from public scrutiny, preserved under strict supervision, and rarely discussed outside a small circle of trusted custodians. It was more than a collection of papers and personal possessions. It was a living record of Diana's journey through triumph, heartbreak, devotion, and sacrifice. Every letter, every note, every carefully preserved document represented a piece of a story that continues to captivate millions around the world. As discussions unfolded behind closed doors, reports began circulating that William had approved a historic transfer involving the entire collection. Such a decision would have enormous symbolic importance. Diana's legacy has always occupied a unique place within the monarchy, and any change involving her personal archive would inevitably carry consequences far beyond simple administration. Yet despite the significance of the move, palace officials remained silent. No statement was issued. No explanation was offered. Instead, staff members were reportedly instructed not to discuss the matter under any circumstances. That silence only intensified speculation. The more the palace attempted to contain the story, the faster the rumors spread. Courtiers whispered that a major shift was taking place. Long-serving aides exchanged concerned glances. Even experienced royal observers struggled to understand why such extraordinary secrecy surrounded what was supposedly a routine archival matter. Something important was happening, and everyone seemed to know it except the public. Then attention turned toward Catherine. Sources claimed she emerged from the meeting carrying responsibility unlike anything she had faced before. Those who observed her afterward described her as thoughtful, focused, and fully aware of the magnitude of what had just occurred. If the reports were accurate, she had become the new steward of one of the most powerful legacies in modern royal history. But perhaps the most explosive detail involved the reaction of Queen Camilla. Palace insiders claimed the decision had caught her completely off guard. Some even suggested that she learned of the transfer only after it had already been approved. Whether those reports were true or not, one thing became increasingly clear. William's move had altered the dynamics inside the royal household overnight. Questions began multiplying. Why now? Why Catherine? And what exactly was hidden within the collection that made this transfer so significant? But the archive William transferred was far more than a collection of memories. It contained the story of Diana's life, her struggles, and secrets many believed would never surface again. For decades, Diana's personal archive remained one of the most protected collections in royal history. Hidden away from public view, its contents represented not just a princess's memories, but a legacy powerful enough to influence the future of the monarchy itself. That realization was precisely why William's surge's reported decision carried such enormous weight. The collection at the center of the growing controversy was never simply a storage of old records. It was a deeply personal chronicle of one of the most beloved figures the royal family had ever known. Long after Diana's tragic passing, her influence continued to shape public opinion, royal expectations, and even the personal journeys of those closest to her. The archive preserved that influence in its purest form, untouched by headlines, speculation, or public interpretation. Inside the collection were said to be decades of private correspondence, handwritten notes, journals, family photographs, charitable records, and personal reflections. Every item carried emotional significance. Some reportedly documented moments of joy and hope, while others reflected periods of struggle, loneliness, and determination. Together, they formed a portrait of a woman whose life was lived under extraordinary pressure, but whose impact endured far beyond her years. Those who understood the collection's importance often described it as something closer to a living legacy than a historical archive. Following Diana's death, extraordinary measures were reportedly taken to preserve these materials. Access was limited to a small number of trusted custodians, and strict protocols governed how the collection could be handled, reviewed, or transferred. Over time, those safeguards became part of royal tradition. The archive was not treated as personal property in the ordinary sense. Instead, it was regarded as something almost sacred, a responsibility passed carefully between those entrusted to protect Diana's memory. For William, that responsibility carried a deeply personal dimension. Diana was not simply a historic figure, she was his mother. Every preserved letter, every carefully stored photograph, every private note represented fragments of a relationship interrupted far too soon. Those closest to him have long suggested that preserving her legacy remained one of the most important commitments of his life. As years passed and his role within the monarchy expanded, so too did his determination to ensure that her story would be remembered with dignity and respect. That same sense of respect is often associated with Catherine. Long before becoming one of the most influential members of the modern royal family, she understood the profound place Diana occupied within public memory. Rather than attempting to replace that legacy, Catherine was frequently viewed as someone who honored it. Her approach to royal duty, her dedication to charitable causes, and her commitment to family values often drew comparisons that she neither encouraged nor publicly embraced. Yet those comparisons continued because many believed she shared Diana's understanding of service and responsibility. Perhaps that is why the reported transfer sparked such intense interest. The decision appeared to symbolize far more than administrative convenience. It suggested trust. It suggested continuity. Most importantly, it suggested that William believed Catherine could safeguard one of the monarchy's most emotionally significant treasures for future generations. Yet while the archive remained untouched for years, tensions were quietly growing behind palace doors over who should ultimately control Diana's story. As Catherine's role within the monarchy expanded, so did questions about the future stewardship of Diana's legacy. What began as private discussions soon evolved into a struggle that exposed deeper divisions within the royal household. The debate was never officially acknowledged, yet whispers about it seemed impossible to contain. As Catherine took on greater responsibilities and became one of the most trusted figures within the institution, many began to view her as the natural guardian of values long associated with Diana. It was not because she attempted to follow in Diana's footsteps. In many ways, it was the opposite. Catherine built her reputation through patience, discipline, and an unwavering commitment to duty. Yet those qualities only strengthened the comparisons. The more she devoted herself to the crown, the more people began to see echoes of the woman whose memory continued to shape the monarchy decades after her passing. For William, the transformation unfolded gradually. Trust is rarely built through grand gestures. It is earned through years of consistency, sacrifice, and loyalty during moments of both triumph and crisis. Time after time, Catherine stood beside him through challenges that could have fractured even the strongest partnerships. Together they navigated changing public expectations, family tensions, and the relentless pressure that accompanies life at the center of royal attention. As those experiences accumulated, William's confidence in Catherine deepened until it became one of the defining foundations of his future vision for the monarchy. At the same time, Catherine's influence within royal operations continued to grow. Her voice carried increasing weight during discussions about charitable initiatives, public engagements, long-term planning, and the institution's future direction. Senior figures reportedly valued her judgment, while younger members of the royal household often looked to her as a stabilizing force during periods of uncertainty. With every passing year, her position became stronger, and with that growing influence came new questions about what role she would eventually play in preserving the legacies that mattered most to the future king. Yet beneath the surface, not everyone viewed these developments in the same way. As often happens within powerful institutions, different perspectives began emerging regarding priorities, traditions, and influence. Some believed Diana's legacy should remain carefully protected through existing structures and long-standing protocols. Others reportedly felt that a new generation should take greater responsibility for shaping how her story would be remembered. The disagreements were subtle at first, hidden behind polite conversations and carefully measured diplomacy. But beneath those formal exchanges, deeper tensions were quietly taking shape. According to palace insiders, concerns surrounding Diana's archive became one of several issues reflecting these broader divisions. Questions emerged about stewardship, authority, and symbolism. Who should decide how Diana's memory would be preserved? Who would carry responsibility for protecting her story in the decades ahead? And perhaps most importantly, who would ultimately become the public face of that responsibility? Reports suggest that these discussions occasionally led to disagreements behind closed doors. Nothing explosive reached public view, yet those familiar with palace dynamics claimed the issue generated considerable private debate. As Catherine's prominence increased, some individuals reportedly became uncomfortable with the direction events seemed to be taking. Among the names frequently linked to those concerns was Camilla, who insiders claimed was increasingly frustrated by shifting perceptions within the royal household. Whether those reports were entirely accurate or not, the atmosphere surrounding Diana's legacy was clearly changing. What had once been considered a settled matter was becoming a source of growing uncertainty. The stakes were rising, the questions were multiplying, and before long, William would find himself facing a choice that could no longer be postponed. Then came the moment William stopped debating the future and made a decision that changed everything overnight. Without public announcements or ceremonial fanfare, William reportedly authorized the complete transfer of Diana's personal archive to Catherine's care. It was a move few expected, and one that instantly redefined the balance of influence surrounding Diana's legacy. For years, speculation had surrounded the future of the collection. But speculation and action are two very different things. Discussions can be delayed. Debates can continue indefinitely. Difficult choices can be postponed. Yet there comes a moment when uncertainty becomes impossible to maintain, and according to palace insiders, William finally reached that moment. Rather than allowing questions to linger for years, he reportedly made a clear and decisive choice. The archive would be transferred. The responsibility would change hands. And Catherine would become the person entrusted with protecting one of the most important legacies in modern royal history. What made the decision so remarkable was not simply its scale, but what it appeared to represent. This was not described as a routine administrative adjustment. Supporters of the move reportedly viewed it as an affirmation of trust, loyalty, and continuity. Diana's story had always been larger than the documents themselves. Her influence extended beyond individual events, beyond headlines, beyond even the institution that once struggled to understand her. Those who backed the transfer argued that preserving her values required more than safeguarding papers inside secured archives. It required placing her legacy in the hands of someone capable of carrying those values into the future. William's reported approval reflected that belief. Sources suggested he viewed Catherine not merely as a custodian of history, but as someone uniquely positioned to protect the spirit behind it. Throughout years of public service, Catherine had built a reputation grounded in stability, compassion, and dedication. She had earned trust through consistency rather than publicity. As a result, Many interpreted the transfer as a statement about the future direction of the review. Once the decision was finalized, senior staff were reportedly tasked with overseeing an exceptionally careful transition process. Every aspect of the archive required meticulous handling. Procedures were reviewed, security measures were reinforced. Administrative teams worked quietly behind the scenes to ensure that the collection's integrity remained intact throughout the transfer. The extraordinary level of attention only reinforced growing perceptions that this was a moment of historic significance rather than ordinary palace business. Meanwhile, reports suggested Catherine approached the responsibility with humility rather than celebration. Those familiar with her reaction claimed she understood the enormous weight attached to the archive. Accepting stewardship of Diana's personal collection meant accepting stewardship of countless memories, emotions, and expectations. It was not simply an honor, it was a burden as well. Every decision regarding the archive would now carry symbolic importance, making the responsibility both prestigious and deeply personal. As whispers continued spreading through royal circles, the story rapidly escaped the confines of palace corridors. Speculation intensified. Royal commentators began asking questions. Supporters praised what they viewed as a powerful act of continuity between past and future generations. Others wondered whether deeper motivations existed behind the timing. The absence of official explanations only fueled curiosity further. The more silence surrounded the decision, the louder the rumors became. Yet amid all the attention, one conclusion appeared increasingly difficult to ignore. William's choice had transformed the conversation surrounding Diana's legacy overnight. What had once been an unresolved question suddenly seemed answered. The future direction of the archive was no longer uncertain. The transfer had happened. The responsibility had shifted. And while many welcomed the development as a historic turning point, not everyone inside the royal household shared that enthusiasm. But while supporters celebrated the decision, another reaction was unfolding behind palace walls, and it was anything but supportive. The transfer reportedly landed like a thunderbolt among those who never expected William to act so boldly. And according to palace whispers, no one was more stunned than Camilla. For years, the future of Diana's legacy had remained a sensitive subject, carefully managed and rarely discussed in public. That was precisely why William's decision created such a powerful reaction. The transfer did not simply involve a collection of private materials. It carried enormous symbolic weight. To many observers, it represented a clear statement about trust, responsibility, and the direction in which the future king intended to lead the monarchy. Once that interpretation began spreading through royal circles, the emotional stakes rose dramatically. According to reports circulating among palace insiders, Camilla was not informed until after the decision had already been finalized. Whether entirely accurate or not, that narrative quickly gained momentum because it aligned with the sense of surprise surrounding the announcement. Those who had expected lengthy consultations or prolonged negotiations suddenly found themselves facing a reality that appeared already settled. The archive had changed hands. The decision had been made, and there seemed to be no indication that William intended to revisit it. That realization reportedly fueled growing frustration among some of Camilla's supporters. The issue was not merely about documents stored in secured collections. It was about influence. It was about symbolism. Most importantly, it was about what the transfer appeared to communicate to the wider institution. Diana's memory remains one of the most powerful forces in modern royal history. Any decision involving her legacy inevitably carries consequences that extend far beyond administrative procedures. For some, William's move seemed to reinforce Catherine's growing position at the center of the monarchy's future. As those interpretations spread, concerns reportedly emerged regarding shifting balances of influence inside the royal household. The conversation was no longer focused solely on the archive itself. Instead, attention turned toward what the transfer represented. Was it simply a practical decision, or was it a sign that a new chapter of royal leadership was already taking shape behind the scenes? Questions like these circulated relentlessly, creating an atmosphere of uncertainty that only intensified as official silence continued. Within palace circles, emotional reactions reportedly varied dramatically. Some insiders described the transfer as an overdue acknowledgement of Catherine's role and dedication. Others viewed it as a significant turning point that would reshape long-standing dynamics within the institution. Behind every whispered conversation stood the same unavoidable reality. William had made a choice that could not easily be undone. The archive was no longer at the center of speculation because its future had been decided. Meanwhile, Catherine reportedly remained focused on the responsibility rather than the controversy. Sources suggested she understood that public attention would inevitably follow a decision of this magnitude. Yet those familiar with her approach claimed her primary concern remained the preservation of Diana's legacy itself. While debates continued around her, she was said to be concentrating on the task she had been entrusted to carry forward. That contrast only deepened the drama surrounding the situation. As some wrestled with frustration and uncertainty, Catherine appeared determined to focus on duty rather than conflict. And then came the realization that changed the entire conversation. The deeper people looked at the transfer, the clearer it became that the issue was never simply about ownership or administration. Something much larger was unfolding beneath the surface. The archive had become a symbol of trust, succession, influence, and legacy. What appeared at first to be a private decision was increasingly being viewed as a defining statement about the monarchy's future direction. As tensions escalated, the true significance of the transfer became impossible to ignore. It was about far more than boxes of documents. To outsiders, the archive may have appeared to be a collection of papers and photographs, but within royal circles, it represented something far greater: ownership of one of the most powerful legacies in modern monarchy. That was the truth slowly emerging from behind the headlines and speculation. The deeper people looked at William's decision, the more they realized that the archive itself was only part of the story. The real significance lay in what the collection represented. Diana was never simply a member of the royal family. She became a global symbol whose influence transcended borders, generations, and even the institution she once served. Decades after her passing, her name still carried extraordinary emotional power. Few figures in modern history have maintained such a profound connection with the public for so long. What made Diana's legacy unique was the way it continued to evolve long after her death. New generations discovered her story. Older generations remembered the compassion, vulnerability, and resilience that made her so beloved. Her life became a reference point for conversations about service, sacrifice, and the challenges of living under constant scrutiny. As a result, every artifact connected to her acquired deeper meaning over time. Personal letters became historical records. Private reflections became windows into a remarkable life. Even seemingly ordinary documents gained significance because they helped preserve a story that millions refused to forget. That enduring connection gave the archive immense value. Not financial value, historical value, emotional value, cultural value. The collection contained fragments of a legacy that continued to shape public perceptions of the monarchy itself. For historians, it represented an irreplaceable record. For royal observers, it offered insight into one of the most transformative figures the institution had ever known. For the public, it symbolized a connection to Diana that remained as powerful as ever. This is why Catherine's new role attracted such intense attention. Her stewardship was never viewed simply as administrative responsibility. It carried implications for how future generations would understand Diana's story. Every decision regarding preservation, interpretation, and protection would help shape the narrative surrounding one of the most influential women in royal history. That responsibility extended far beyond the present moment. It reached into the future. Many observers interpreted William's decision through that lens. They saw it as part of a broader vision for the monarchy's next chapter. Throughout the years, William has often spoken through actions rather than dramatic declarations. By reportedly placing Diana's archive under Catherine's stewardship, he appeared to be sending a message about continuity, trust, and the values he hopes will define the institution moving forward. Whether intentional or not, the symbolism was impossible to ignore. public perception began shifting almost immediately. Discussions that initially focused on palace tensions gradually expanded into larger conversations about legacy and leadership. Supporters viewed the move as an affirmation of Catherine's growing importance within the monarchy. Others saw it as evidence that William was quietly preparing for the responsibilities that await him in the years ahead. Regardless of perspective, few could deny the impact. A decision made behind closed doors had suddenly become one of the most discussed royal developments in recent memory, and perhaps that was the greatest revelation of all. The archive had never been just a collection. It was a bridge connecting the past to the future, memory to responsibility, and history to legacy. Whoever protected it would inevitably influence how Diana's story continued to be told for generations to come. And as the palace attempted to contain speculation, attention turned toward what Catherine might do next with the responsibility she had inherited. For Catherine, receiving Diana's archive was never about power. It was about safeguarding a story that continues to shape the monarchy, even decades after Diana's passing. That distinction became increasingly important as public attention intensified. While commentators debated palace dynamics and royal influence, those closest to Catherine reportedly viewed the situation through a very different lens. For her, the archive represented responsibility rather than privilege. It was not a prize to be won or a symbol to be displayed. It was a trust, a deeply personal trust connected to a woman whose legacy still resonated across generations and whose impact continued to shape expectations surrounding the royal family. Throughout her years within the monarchy, Catherine has often been associated with patience, discipline, and respect for tradition. Rather than attempting to redefine the institution overnight, she built her role gradually, understanding that lasting influence comes through consistency rather than spectacle. That approach reportedly shaped how she viewed her new responsibility. Diana's archive was not simply about preserving the past. It was about ensuring that the values Diana represented would remain relevant in the future. Compassion, service, empathy, and dedication were qualities many people associated with Diana, and supporters believed those same principles would guide Catherine's stewardship moving forward. Part of that connection stemmed from Catherine's long-standing admiration for Diana's charitable legacy. Over the years, she has quietly embraced causes focused on mental health, children, families, and emotional well-being areas that reflected many of Diana's own priorities. Although their personalities were different, observers frequently noted similarities in their commitment to helping others. Those parallels only strengthened public confidence that Diana's story would be handled with care, dignity, and respect. Yet the challenge ahead was far from simple. Protecting a historic legacy while navigating the demands of a modern monarchy requires extraordinary balance. Every decision carries consequences. Every action invites scrutiny. Catherine would need to honor the past without becoming trapped by it. She would need to preserve Diana's memory while ensuring that the institution continued moving forward. It was a delicate task, one requiring wisdom, patience, and an understanding of both history and change. As news of the transfer continued spreading, public support for Catherine appeared to grow even stronger. Many viewed William's decision as a reflection of the confidence he had developed in her judgment over many years. Their partnership had weathered immense pressure, public scrutiny, and personal challenges. Through it all, Catherine had remained a constant source of stability. For William, that reliability may have become one of the most important reasons behind the decision itself. Trust of this magnitude is rarely granted lightly, especially when one of the most treasured royal legacies is involved. At the heart of everything stood a larger question about the future. Diana's archive would continue to exist long after current headlines faded. Future generations would study it. Historians would analyze it. Members of the royal family yet to come might one day look to it for understanding, perspective. The choices made today would shape how Diana's memory was preserved tomorrow. That reality gave Catherine's stewardship significance far beyond the present moment. And while supporters praised the decision as a powerful act of continuity, others continued watching developments with growing concern. Questions remained unanswered. Emotions remained raw. Palace relationships remained under strain. The transfer may have settled one debate, but it had also created entirely new conversations, whose consequences were only beginning to emerge. Yet even as Catherine embraced her new role, the consequences of William's decision were only beginning to unfold. In the end, the transfer of Diana's personal archive may be remembered as more than a royal administrative decision. It could become the moment when William formally entrusted the future of his mother's legacy to the woman he believes can protect it best. Looking back at everything that unfolded, it becomes clear why this story captured such extraordinary attention. What began as a quiet transfer behind palace walls gradually evolved into something much larger. It touched questions of loyalty, trust, memory, and the future of the monarchy itself. Every stage of the story revealed a deeper layer: the secrecy surrounding the decision, the emotional weight carried by the archive, the growing tensions among different royal circles, and ultimately, William's willingness to make a choice that would reshape one of the most important legacies within the institution. For many observers, that decision represented one of the most significant symbolic moves of his royal life so far. William was not simply transferring documents. He was making a statement about stewardship. He was deciding who would carry responsibility for preserving a story that continues to influence public perceptions decades after Diana's passing. Such choices are rarely accidental. They reflect priorities, values, and long-term vision. That is why so many people viewed the transfer as a glimpse into the future direction of the monarchy itself. At the center of that future stands Catherine. Over time, she has evolved from a newcomer, navigating royal life, into one of the institution's most trusted and respected figures. Her emergence as guardian of Diana's legacy did not happen overnight. It was built through years of dedication, patience, and service. Supporters believe those qualities made her the natural choice for a responsibility of this magnitude. The archive now symbolizes far more than preserved history. It symbolizes confidence in Catherine's, its domestication's ability to protect something precious while guiding it into a new era. The impact on royal dynamics may continue to be felt for years. Decisions involving legacy often outlast the individuals who make them. They influence perceptions, relationships, and future expectations. Whether openly acknowledged or not, William's choice altered conversations taking place throughout royal circles. It established a new reality. The archive's future had been determined, and the person entrusted with safeguarding it had been chosen. Meanwhile, public fascination with Diana showed no signs of fading. In many ways, that fascination explains why the story resonated so deeply. Diana remains one of the most beloved and discussed figures in modern royal history. Her influence stretches across generations. Every development connected to her memory continues to attract global attention because people still feel emotionally connected to the values she represented. That connection transformed the archive into something far greater than a collection of historical materials. It became a symbol of continuity between past and future. Reports of frustration among Camilla's supporters continued circulating, but according to palace insiders, there appeared to be little possibility of reversing the decision. William's choice was made. Catherine's role had been established. The transfer had moved beyond speculation and become reality. That finality only reinforced the significance of the moment. Some saw disappointment, others saw triumph, but almost everyone recognized that a turning point had been reached. Perhaps that is why the symbolism feels so powerful. For many supporters, the transfer created a bridge between Diana's enduring legacy and Catherine's growing role within the monarchy. Not because the two women were identical, but because both came to represent values that resonated deeply with the public. One shaped an era, the other now carries part of that story forward. And as history continues moving forward, the full consequences of William's unprecedented decision may take years to reveal themselves. Yet one thing already seems certain. The transfer of Diana's archive will be remembered as far more than an administrative act. It may stand as a defining moment in the evolution of the modern monarchy, a moment when legacy, duty and trust converge to shape the path ahead. Because while archives preserve the past, this decision may ultimately shape the future of the House of Windsor for generations to come. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you in next one.